Welcome to Snetterton for the Avon tyres, Supertwins and Stocktwins. Round 3 of the championship for 2017. And Greg Madiro is on pole position. Came into this weekend 3rd overall in the championship, but it's a close one, it has to be said. They are joined on the grid by a man who knows how it's done. The GTR Motorsports rider there, Gary Johnson, who on a Super Twin could cause a real problem here for these guys, because he is a class that it looks a bit like a 250, doesn't it, that he's on there, but it is a WK GTR Motorsports machine. It is a Super Twin, and of course he's getting himself all prepped ready for the TT. Number 7 there, Johnny Towers leads the championship overall and leads them into turn 1. Number 17, lots of other riders to mention as well. We've got the RRV 450s out there. Number 9, Alex Taylor leads that championship from Alex Wood. There are an awful lot of Alexes in this class. Alex Platt leads the Stocktwins. He rides number 43. So forgive me for getting confused midway through this one. Number 133 there on the green bike is Ben Tolliday. And we've also got out there Charlie King, number 76. Good to see Charlie racing. There he is in 4th place. Hails from Great Yarmouth, which is just down the road from myself. Nice to see Charlie back out racing. Whatever happens today, he's got a very short drive home, and a pleasant one it is too. So Charlie, who probably hasn't done an awful lot of racing actually in the last 12 months, I can't be sure of that, but he's not certainly raced with Thundersport for some time. There he is in 4th, but it's Greg Madiro that leads. Of course, last year's Mini Twins champion Greg Madiro, moving on to a Super Twin for this year. Jason Markham a bit further back, British Army rider on his Suzuki 650, stuck alongside 1 or 2 of the 450s, but Madiro it is that lead. There were 35 points covering Towers, Perry and Madiro coming into this round, but Perry has gone on to a 600. Now Dan Taylor, I can tell you that Dan Taylor is not out on circuit, because I saw him watching this race from pit lane. He has got a bit of a problem with his bike in the fact that it will not play ball at all. Oh dear, and something else not playing ball there is the number 77 Aprilia of Cade Fervet, who's gone down and out. Lara Small we're on board with, had to take avoiding action. She's rejoined the British Army rider, but Fervet has gone down. Looking over his shoulder there is Gary Johnson. Yeah, Dan Taylor, his bike won't play ball. He will not race here today, so he'll be back for his home round in Cadwell. To say that he looked a misery when I saw him down in pit lane is an understatement. So he's going to need cheering up, I think, between now and then. Let's see how many points he loses as a result of that. As it stands, Greg Madiro it is that leads. Greg Madiro Ballesteros, his full name, from Toaster. Great guy, Greg, and family as well. They race on a budget. There are no real sponsors there for the number 60. Couple of minor sponsors on the bike, a bit of help here and there, but real budget racing from Greg. But he loves racing at Thundersport, loads of track time. I'll tell you what, he ain't a bad rider either. If he is able to win the Super Twins championship as well as the Mini Twins last year, what an effort that would be. Gary Johnson there thought about going from 3rd up to 1st in one big hit. He gets past Johnny Towers, a man I'm sure he knows very well. Johnny Towers has been doing the rounds for a number of years and will be wanting to wrap this championship up last year. He couldn't last year. Now there's Neil Schofield from Barnsley up ahead of number 43 Alex Platt from Lincoln, but Mr. Schofield has been a naughty boy and has jumped the start, so he'll get a 10-second penalty at the end of this one. So the Barnsley crew won't be happy with that. A bit further back there's Paul Williams, number 70. Madiro got a bit between his teeth here, hasn't he? He's flying away. Let's see what the lap times are. Down in the 16s. Well, I'll tell you what, they're not far off the lap records. There is Johnny Towers. He's fallen by. What's happened to Johnny Towers then? Something's happened to him on circuit, because he's now fallen behind Charlie King. In fact, it says Charlie King. This is a mistake I've made. Poor old Charlie King. I mentioned earlier from Great Yarmouth. It says in the programme Galston. Now, if you live locally to where I do, that is a pretty big mistake to make, because you would rather be from one than the other sometimes. I'll be careful what I say. Oh dear, oh dear. Are you Galston or are you Great Yarmouth, Charlie? It could make quite a significant difference. so I'll let you get back to me on social media on that one. What a mistaker to make. There is Markham, number 96. We saw onboard footage with him just a moment ago. Looking further back in the RRVs, Alex Taylor is leading in that class. Rhys Irwin, of course, last year's Super Teen runner-up, is second. And we've got Thomas Jennings in third in the RRVs. There is number 19, Neil Schofield, ahead of Alex Platt. Lovely turned out machine, that one. Alex Platt, B&B Motorcycle Suzuki. But it is Madiro that still leads here from Gary Johnson. Quite a scalp to take, I have to say, if he's able to get the better of Gary Johnson here. It says a lot about him as a rider. I don't know what's happened to Johnny Towers in this race. He just seems to have disappeared. I don't know if it's just because Madiro's turned it on or if Towers is encountering some problems out on circuit, but he looked like he was going to be staying with these two at the start of things, and look now, there is 133 Ben Tolliday in 5th, Alex Taylor in 6th, leading the RRVs, then Platt, who now makes his way past Schofield. Now Platt and Schofield are both stock twin riders, we should just point out, and Alex Platt probably isn't aware that Neil Schofield at present has got a 10-second penalty, so we could in theory just follow him home and he'd be safe. It's looking like Madiro might just have picked up a sponsor there. I mentioned they haven't got any backing. There's a little red sticker just on the side of that bike, so they're obviously getting a bit of help from somewhere. Gary Johnson, of course, who has ridden at British Championship level TT, and receiving a bit of help from the TT this year, probably not as much as he would like. Great rider is Gary Johnson on the roads, and he is just starting to close up on Greg Madiro here in the closing stages of this one. Now this will be an interesting one because Madiro, yeah, his lap times aren't as quick as Gary Johnson's at the moment. I don't think he would retaliate if Gary Johnson was to poke his front wheel through. Gary Johnson has been at a couple of Thundersport rounds this year, but not in the Supertwins, so he's not a threat to Madiro overall in the championship. Let's see what he does. Oh, blimey, that went wrong. Gary Johnson shows him he's there, but then can't get his bike stopped and overruns it. So try again, Gary, it'll be on the back straight. Johnny Towers is, of course, Greg Madiro's nearest championship threat out on circuits. He'll be over the moon. Things are going the way they are. Jonathan Perry not in the championship either. It's an odd one, that. I see this so often. I mentioned it before. Chris Helliwell trying to defend his Golden Era Supersport Championship this weekend, decides he's racing a 600. He's up there. There was no reason that I can think of, unless it's political or controversial. And Jonathan Perry likewise decided that he's going to have a go on a 600. It is what it is, but Perry was in a pretty good position. Here comes Gary Johnson once more. This time he makes it stick. A great move around the outside into Coram Curve. They're coming up on some traffic now. I don't think Greg Madiro will do anything too silly here. If he can stay with Gary Johnson, then he'll have a go. What do I know? He's just said, yeah, I am going to race this fella, actually. Oh, blimey, that's close around Ritchie's. Gary Johnson runs it a bit wide there as he tries to lap Joshua Crew. Greg Madiro eventually finds his way past him as well. That may well have just cost him a bit of time, but Gary Johnson was mighty close to the grass on the exit of Ritchie's corner just then. Gary Johnson's putting the fastest lap of the race as well at 1:16.9. And Greg Madiro's not been out of the 17s just yet. There is Ben Tolliday, 1:33, up ahead of Alex Taylor, who has been by far and away the best of the RRV 450 riders so far in 2017. I can tell you that Neil Schofield's penalty, by the way, he's behind Platt for the Stocktwins. He's got enough of an advantage at the moment, as if he knows himself that he's got a penalty. There he is. They're just going past Ian McGann. Oh, hang on a minute. Ian McGann is a stock twin rider, isn't he? So this would cost him. So where has Ian McGann all of a sudden come from? Unless he was ahead of them originally. But either way, he's with them at the moment. So Schofield would finish at the back of that group. There's Lara Small, 54, just tipping it in. Rider from Derby. And there is your race leader. A lot of traffic here to deal with for Gary Johnson and Greg Madiro. An awful lot of traffic as they now come up into Montreal. The laps counting down then. And it's just falling quite nicely, isn't it, for Gary Johnson at the moment. It's just working a bit better for him. 86 there is Tom Jennings, just going past on his Aprilia RRV 450, so he's being lapped by your race leaders. Pick out your front two there. They're lapping all the way up to 15th at the moment. So impressive stuff here from both Johnson and Madiro, but Madiro will be the one that benefits the most in the championship. On board again here with Lara Small. Blimey, that's the race leader coming through on her to lap, and that's sometimes how it can feel, you know. It's not easy when that happens. You know the leaders are coming through, and they're not always pleasant. Gary Johnson, it was clean enough, but it was pretty close, wasn't it, for Lara Small there. The last lap flag is out. Gary Johnson should have this one in the bag. In fact, Gary Johnson here is coming up on a couple of other riders as well. He could lap everyone up to 12th place, which is impressive. Madiro, well, now he'll surely wave the white flag and say this will do nicely. 20 points. Johnny Towers is, what, a good 7-8 seconds down the road. Charlie King is just behind him. So Towers managed to get back past Charlie King again. I rather fancy that Johnny Towers, there was some sort of error in the early stages of the race that has meant that he's fallen back there, whether he's gone for an off-track excursion somewhere, maybe run on at the end of the back straight, because it's unlike Johnny Towers to be as far away from the win as this. Checkered flag is out. This is Platt, Schofield and Ian McGann still scrapping away in the Stocktwins. Platt should have this one nailed. Schofield second. Ian McGann, that is a wide line. Oh dear, and he's down and out, and I'm not surprised. That was an ambitious line he took into the bomb hole, and he will limp away. And so he's out of the running for the Stocktwins. At the front though, it is a win here for Gary Johnson. Made light work of it in the end. Great win for him. An important 20 points for Greg Madiro. He will finish in second. Somewhere further down the road will be Johnny Towers. He will take third. And it will be fourth for Charlie King as well. Ben Tolliday was fifth. Alex Taylor sixth. Behind those guys, it was Platt that came across the line. Schofield with a 10-second penalty will still hold on to second anyway, because he was 10 clear of the rest of the field after McGann's crash. Top three there then: Johnson, Madiro, Towers, and then of course we have the Stocktwins: Alex Platt, Neil Schofield, Jason Markham, and in the 450s, Alex Taylor, the winner from Rhys Irwin and Thomas Jennings. We'll be back with more action from race 2 in just a few. Welcome back to Snetterton for the Avon Tyres Supertwins and Stocktwins, including, of course, the RRV 450 Aprilias. Greg Madiro on pole. He was second in race 1 behind Gary Johnson, but he took 20 precious points. Championship leader Johnny Towers, well, something went wrong in race 1, fell back, wasn't able to recover. He's got another crack at this one, though. Gary Johnson, there third on the grid. He looked the real class act in the end. The quality and experience shone through for him to take the win. And in the Stocktwins, Alex Platt was victorious in race 1 ahead of Neil Schofield. So we'll look out for both of those guys, number 43 and number 19, as we roar away from the line into turn 1. Towers leads from Gary Johnson and Madiro. Charlie King was 4th, and then it looked like Alex Platt 5th. Alex Taylor, the 450 rider there, number 9, going well at the start. Johnson already attacking Towers down into Montreal. There is Taylor. Ben Tolliday off to a decent start as well. It's a bit busy further back in the pack. We're on board with Army rider Jason Markham as he gets straight into the slipstream onto the back straight, and will pull out just before, almost whacked into the back of the rider up ahead of him. But that is, generally speaking, how to pull off a slipstream move down the back straight. Johnny Towers it is then that leads. His lap times in race 1 were just as good as Greg Madiro and Gary Johnson's. Blimey, Madiro was out close there on the exit. Said so many times before, the bomb hole, there is the fastest line into the bomb hole. There's a kind of like a lip and a bit of a berm there that you can ride into. If you go slightly wide of that, it can go horribly wrong. Brilliant stuff there from Madiro, though. He just manages to squeeze underneath Johnny Towers. Gary Johnson having a look over his shoulder already on the opening lap to see who he's got for company. I expect it is Charlie King just behind him, number 76 on that green machine of his, the Kawasaki 650. Towers it is then that leads, number 17, Team Edge RST Racing Kawasaki, up ahead of Greg Madiro. The early stages of this one, just like race 1, I don't know whether it's on a full tank or what it is, but Gary Johnson just takes a couple of laps to get some warmth into those tyres, probably more experience than anything else. There's a massive gap back then to the scrap for 5th place as Madiro finds his way back past Johnny Towers again. It really looks like then, with Jonathan Perry not here racing in this class this weekend, that we will see Johnny Towers embroiled in another championship battle for 2017, just as he was last year with John Simpson. Johnny Towers lost out by single digits in the end into the last race at Cadwell last year. Agonising defeat for him. Nice move there from Lara Small into the bomb hole. To the start from stroke we go for the race leaders though. Madiro, Towers, Gary Johnson and Charlie King. If you want to have just the odd play from time to time, like Charlie King probably is at the moment, these are great bikes to do it on. They've come on strong actually, Super Twins and Mini Twins, over the last few years. First few seasons, a few were dotted around, but we had quite a lot of 450 Aprilias going on. More and more Super Twins and Stock Twins appearing now, as well as the Aprilias. Of course, there's a few Aprilia 550s doing the rounds as well. Generally, good bikes to jump on. They handle well. They're obviously not as fast as the 600s, but they're a good sized bike. They're nimble, they're quite light. You see Rhys Irwin a bit further back there, Aprilia RRV 450 rider, currently 2nd in class. This is your race leader though, Greg Madiro, still from Towers and Gary Johnson. Charlie King has tried as hard as he can just to stay with these 3, but it's not worked out for him, as we see there. Number 96 once more, Jason Markham and Ben Rainbow. So Madiro, Towers, Johnson all together. This is the fight that we really wanted to see. Onto the start finish straight, Gary Johnson trying to squeeze every last ounce of power there out of his WK GTR Motorsports, and up the inside for Johnny Towers into turn 1. So Towers regains the lead. Towers finished 3rd in race 1, Madiro 2nd. So for today anyway, Madiro has a 4-point advantage over Johnny Towers. They did race yesterday as well, but Madiro would dearly love to get the better of Johnny Towers in this race, and if he can't, he won't want Gary Johnson sandwiched in between them, that's for sure. Take away even more points. Further back there is number 77, Cade Fervet, and number 30, Dan Bateman. Then it's Rhys Irwin. So Rhys Irwin a lot closer here for that 450 podium. He's got Cade Fervet up ahead of him. They're battling for 2nd. We're on board with Lara Small now, breaking into the Brundle corner as Rhys Irwin heads through. So that battle directly ahead of us is for the 2nd and 3rd place finish in the 450s. This is for 1st, 2nd, 3rd outright in the Super Twins. Not a lot splitting them. Lap time wise, they're all similarly spread. 117s at the moment, but Gary Johnson in race 1, as we saw, once he got up to temperature, he looked unstoppable. Charging towards Montreal then. Towers with the advantages. Gary going to have a look up the inside. Yes, he is, and it sticks. So Gary Johnson then is now up into second place and hunts down Johnny Towers. And Greg Madiro stay with them. If Greg can't keep up with Johnny, he'll hope that Gary certainly can. There is Neil Schofield. No jump start this time for Neil. So he is directly fighting it out for the Stocktwins win with well, actually at the moment Joseph Thomas is out there. I've not mentioned him so far. Of course, we've seen plenty of the UWTSD Autos Racing rider before, but there he is, just behind Ben Tolliday. He is leading the Stocktwin class and darts up the inside of Ben Tolliday, who's on a Supertwin machine. He has a look over his shoulder. Alex Platt and Neil Schofield are not far behind, so your top three are all there in the Stocktwins. Joseph Thomas, Alex Platt and Neil Schofield. These are your leaders. Towers, Johnson, Madiro unable to keep up with them. So we have four fighting for the lead. Gradually as the race goes on, it's now down to these two. Definitely shows you, doesn't it, that there must have been some issue with Johnny Towers in race 1. The fact that he's come out fighting here in race 2. This is the scrap once more for the Stocktwins. Ben Tolliday, Rd3, not really a part of that. But the Stocktwins do score Supertwin points, so there is still quite a bit to play for there on circuit. Here is Charlie King. Very lonely 4th place at the moment is Charlie. Johnny Towers just about doing enough here to keep Gary Johnson at bay. Gary Johnson in race 1 was lapping in the late 116s. In this race, he's in the early 17s, much like Johnny Towers, so Johnson got a bit of time to find. He's getting quite late in the day here as we see change for position again. Ben Tolliday's gone ahead now of Joe Thomas. It's very, very cold here. Track temperatures will not be high, so keeping the warmth in those tyres will be difficult. Just got to stay consistent this year. Rarely throws it at the scenery. Johnny Towers had a few inconsistent moments in 2016 and it cost him the championship ultimately. You know what, Charlie King certainly looks a lot taller these days than when I last saw him racing, that's for sure. He makes that Supertwin look tiny. Here's Tolliday still up ahead of Joe Thomas. Just behind Joe Thomas is Alex Platt. So that is your direct fight for the Stocktwin 1st and 2nd. They've got Alex Taylor with them as well for company, the Scott Racing Motorcycles 450 rider. There he is. Into the Bentley straight. That's between the power of those machines. There is Ben Tolliday, Rd3 there. These guys from 5th onwards, so getting pretty close here. Alex Wood up the inside of Alex Platt, so nicely done there by the Aprilia rider. Of course, Alex Wood can only score, no, he can score Supertwin points as well, so every place he makes up, despite being a 450 rider, adds to his championship tally. Onto the start-finish straight we go. Johnny Towers, with the last lap flag out, has done a great job here because he has not gone wrong anywhere on circuit. I've not seen a wild line, I've not seen him outbrake himself, not a single mistake, and as a result Gary Johnson just cannot close that gap down. Coming up to put a lap on number 70, Paul Williams. So traffic or a mistake here from Towers is about the only thing really that could hand Gary Johnson the victory. Johnson will stay as close as possible for as long as possible. This could get a bit awkward. This has not been timed well. But Johnny Towers, brilliant stuff from him. Gary Johnson's gone through as well. And Gary Johnson have a poke at this one into Murray's. He's got some serious speed going around the bomb hole. This is as close as he's been. He's got to have a look, surely, hasn't he? Into the final turn. Around Coram Curve we go. This is a big 25 points for Johnny Towers if he holds on. But Gary Johnson, he's not close enough. Is it going to be a run to the line? Onto the start, finish straight we go. I don't think he's close enough. Johnny Towers, a perfect race from the championship leader. Boy, oh boy, does he deserve that. A great win for Johnny Towers. Gary Johnson shakes his head. He's got a big smile on his face, though. He knows he's been in a race. He couldn't quite do it. That is a big result for Johnny Towers after the result earlier on race 1, and a big congratulations to each other. Those two know each other there very, very well. Towers wins from Johnson. Greg Madiro is 3rd, Charlie King 4th. Joe Thomas was the Stocktwins winner in 5th, and Ben Tolliday 6th. There you see the top 3 on the podium there. Towers, Johnson, Madiro. Stocktwins podium. Joseph Thomas from Alex Platt and Neil Schofield. And in the RRBs, another win for Alex Taylor. Nice smile, Neil. Alex Taylor, Rhys Irwin and Cade Furvey. Let's have a look at the points as we head into Cadwell. Johnny Towers 50 clear of Greg Madiro, but of course 100 available in each round, so still a lot to play for. Perry in 3rd still, despite his absence. Likewise for Taylor. Ben Tolliday in 5th. In the Stocktwins, Alex Platt has a 56-point lead over Joseph Thomas, with Neil Schofield in 3rd. 22 ahead of Ian McGann. In the Aprilia 450s, Alex Taylor, a clear leader at the moment, 90 ahead of Cade Furvey. Rhys Irwin 3rd, then Alex Wood, Casey Wyatt and Ben Ashcroft. That's it from Snetterton for another year. Join us next time. We'll be at Cadwell in Lincolnshire for round 4 in 2017.